What's up guys, Tony here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Twin Galaxy Billy Mitchell fiasco. Everything that went down. I'll talk about the accusations, the claims, and the verdict that Twin Galaxies gave Billy Mitchell. Lifetime ban. Pulled all of his records off the website, off the record books. And I'll also be sharing a little bit of intel on some other classic 1980s arcade players. So let me know what you guys think of all this. Is your head spinning like mine? And let's get right into it. Thanks for watching, guys. Okay guys, just before I get rolling here into this, just want to share some of my memorabilia, if you will. That's Billy Mitchell's signature. Pac-Man on the NES. And I also, I have this. It's the King of Kong. I love this movie. I love it. I loved it when it came out. And this is what it says: never surrender, never. Billy Mitchell. So that's pretty neat, pretty cool. I tried to get Walter Day to sign it. I just forgot to have him sign this. They were both at an event in Ottumwa, Iowa, and we got to go a couple summers ago. It was pretty neat. And then I also got this. This is a King of Kong poster. I have it framed. You guys might have seen it in my game room once or twice. There's Walter Day's signature, and then there's Billy Mitchell's signature. I want Steve Weeby's signature really bad now, just to complete this. And if I ever go to a game convention, and I know he's going to be there, I'm going to take this with me. Pretty cool. So that's kind of some of my memorabilia. I did get to meet him and Walter, and a few others. There's actually some footage of that on the channel. I'll leave a link down in the description below of that video where we went and saw them in Ottumwa. I also met Tim McVeigh there. Really nice guy. The Nibbler 1 billion scored. You know, first one to 1 billion points. So let's get right into this, guys. Enough of that. So Twin Galaxies, as you guys know, they stripped all the scores and Billy's basically potential to get any more high scores on Twin Galaxies. The website, the record books, Guinness World Record books, you name it. So this all started in February when Twin Galaxies actually opened up. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. They opened up on their website disputes. You can have disputes. And they did that this year, and Jeremy Young, he basically disputed all of Billy Mitchell's Donkey Kong scores, all the tapes, and Twin Galaxies reviewed it, they looked at it, and they did extensive research. They did months of research. So that was in February. Now it's April, a couple months gone by, and there's three scores that were in question. The King of Kong tape, the 1047 million score, the Mortgage Broker score, the 1050 million score, and then the Boomer score, the 1062 million score. And the main argument, I'll keep on saying main, but the main dispute was that he did not use it on original hardware. And I'm going to get into the dispute itself and the evidence that was stacked against Billy Mitchell and what Twin Galaxies actually came up with. Now, the Twin Galaxies crew, it was just the writers, not like the referees or the scorekeepers or anything like that, the people that actually review these scores. So I thought that was kind of cool on their behalf. And also they had two third parties come in. So instead of just their eyes, they brought in 2 other groups to check out these tapes, check out these scores, to see if they're valid, to find the truth. And I really, really like that. Because back in the day, Twin Galaxies, if one person saw it, it's a world record. Okay? And it was kind of like the Wild West back then, in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. So let's get into this dispute. Okay, so first incriminating evidence against Billy Mitchell and the Donkey Kong scores in particular is that the board transition images shown in the recordings, they don't have those kind of images. They shouldn't produce those kind of images when they transition from screen to screen. And that is like a just straight up, I'm using MAME. And if you guys don't know what MAME is, that's emulation. And one of Twin Galaxies' major rules is that for a world record, you have to use the original hardware. So in this instance, Billy Mitchell would have had to have used a Donkey Kong original arcade machine, unaltered, and he didn't. He used emulation here, MAME. And this is a huge deal. Now, they actually have a separate MAME, like they keep track of records for MAME, but Billy Mitchell is claiming that he's using the original hardware. Now, emulation's a little bit faster, and you can stop it, you can edit it, you can splice stuff together, you name it. You can make it look like basically, you know, you didn't lose a life, you didn't die once or whatever. Now, in King of Kong, I remember watching that when it first came out. They show after Steve Wiebe, he gets his high score. There's a scene in the movie where there's a little transition in the tape, like there's a little jump, there's a little like flicker on the screen, and I'm like, I've always questioned that. I'm just like, what is that? That looks fishy. Why couldn't he do it live just like Steve did? But yeah, it was pretty damning evidence, really. And they want you to use the original hardware. Number 2, Twin Galaxies. They brought, like I said, they brought in 2 third-party companies to check this out. Third parties to come in. They also had experts, hobbyists, just casual viewers that may not even know it. Like, this kind of looks fishy, kind of thing. So they didn't just do it themselves. Billy Mitchell is like the Michael Jordan of old arcade, players back in the day, competition-wise. And they wanted to make sure they got this call right. Now, why so late in the game? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Why not sooner? I don't know. But it's good on Twin Galaxies' part to do that, and kudos to them. And it's not just an internal matter like it would have been under the old regime of Twin Galaxies. The third point I want to make, the King of Kong tape, it was not produced by a direct feed, okay, and they tested this, they saw this. So in other words, it was edited. It was edited. So that King of Kong tape that I was talking about, it was edited. Okay, it's crazy. And you guys need to go watch that movie, King of Kong. Check it out. Watch that. It's crazy. You'll know what I'm talking about. Fourth point I want to make, the Boomer score. They said that there was not enough evidence. There was not enough body to prove that he made that score, made that attempt. 5th point, previous administration of Twin Galaxies. Now, at the time, you know, Walter Day, he was in charge, and Billy Mitchell and Todd Rogers, they were heavily involved, a few others. And from what I understand, Todd Rogers was a senior referee, and Todd Rogers had his hand in judging those scores. So, just saying, looking at the track record for Todd Rogers with the dragster score, I don't know, it's pretty, not very trustworthy, not, it's just rough. It's not looking good for Twin Galaxies, the old Twin Galaxies at this point. So Todd Rogers is involved, and it's not going to be good for Billy Mitchell. 6th point I want to make, they also claim that the PCB, it didn't output the display seen in the tapes. Okay, in other words, another reason or another telltale sign that he was using MAME, not the original hardware. Another point, last point here, Billy Mitchell, during this whole investigation, Twin Galaxies actually reached out to him, and Billy Mitchell, he basically pleaded the fifth. He didn't answer any questions. He didn't, oh, this is wrong, and he refused to talk to Twin Galaxies. He refused to acknowledge them. He refused to defend himself. And to me, you know, especially, you know, in like a criminal case, okay, I study court cases quite a bit, but in a criminal case, when someone is pleading the fifth, usually they're guilty. Usually, if they can't defend themselves or have a valid argument, they're guilty. Just saying. So that's really the reason why Twin Galaxies, they pulled the plug. They said enough is enough is enough is enough for Billy Mitchell. And, you know, I don't have an exhaustive list of some of the scores that he set, but his perfect score on Pac-Man. He was the first person to get a perfect score on Pac-Man. That's wiped out clean. He is no longer the first. Okay? The Donkey Kong scores, they're all wiped out. And I actually tried, I tried to compile a list. Twin Galaxies doesn't have any of that stuff anymore, so yeah. I'm sure there's some list out there. If you guys know where I can find that, let me know in the comments below. Now, just a few more things here, kind of wrapping up the video. Twin Galaxies, in their summary, they said that we're not evaluating people. We want to have integrity and truth in these scores, and that's a good point to make. Now, do I personally not like Billy Mitchell or Todd Rogers or any of these guys? I don't really have a problem against it, but I have a problem against cheating. Now, Billy Mitchell, I met him in person. He was a super nice guy, and such the nicest guy. He signed all of this stuff. He was really nice to Lucas, and just very kind. I talked to him casually, and we talked about Nibbler, and just the success that he had at that point, okay, before all this happened. This was a couple years ago. So I don't have any personal vendetta for him or, you know, Walter Day or any of those guys at all. So I want to make that clear. So the really cool thing about all this. So they no longer recognize Billy Mitchell on the site. So they wanted to make it very clear that Steve Wiebe was the first person to get a 1,000,000-point score on Donkey Kong. It made it very clear. And I love King of Kong. That was like just the ultimate revenge, retribution, all that. And I'm super happy for Steve. Yes, that's awesome. Well deserved. Congratulations. He does not have the high score, by the way, but he's the first one to 1 million. That's really, really cool. Just a few more things here. Something to point out, okay, something that's I've been thinking about all day. Will Namco say anything? Because they're the one that award Billy Mitchell with, you know, video game player of the century for the Pac-Man score. I wonder if they're going to say anything. I really doubt it. There's no pressure for them to do that. Now, there's also another organization called the International Video Game Hall of Fame and Museum. Well, I doubt they're going to say anything or take anyone off of their Hall of Fame, someone like Billy Mitchell, because on the board, I received this intel today. Billy Mitchell and Walter Day are both on the board of trustees for that organization. And I really, really doubt they're going to say or do anything about this whole mess. It'd be interesting if they did. Okay, and we'll see what happens on that front. I'll keep an eye out on that. That's just something to think about. And apparently, one of the board members, he worked for Namco at one point in time. So who knows? Who knows what's happening there? Now, something else I heard, some intel, is that other classic 1980s players, they could be targeted. Yeah, I'm not going to share where I heard this, who I heard it from. I know that's like, oh man, you know, making this up. But the way this is going, I could see it happening. And the source that I got this from, pretty straight on, pretty honest guy, and you know, he's all in this. He's all in this scene. He lived through that scene. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be kind of like a purge, unfortunately. And some of those players are innocent, but really there's no evidence. Some of them have no evidence. Where today, when a world record's set, somebody might be live streaming, or somebody's going to film it. It's going to be on Twitch or whatever. They're doing it live, whatever it may be. And some of these 1980s records, they were set at Twin Galaxies in Iowa, and they had just a referee to validate, or a referee or two. And some of those referees were Todd Rogers, Billy Mitchell, Walter Day. Just saying. So we're gonna see, guys, what happens. I'm curious to see who's next up on the chopping block. You know, Billy's the head honcho, in my opinion. Billy freaking Mitchell. Billy freaking Mitchell. Billy freaking Mitchell. The Billy freaking Mitchell. I'm like nerding the crap out of myself right now. Got to meet him. He signed some stuff.
Yeah, I'm the only one that signed, so you can actually read their signature. That's why it takes me longer.
Did you sign this? Huge fan. Huge fan.